Hello, class. Wonderful to see you all again. Let's jump into classification and division, shall we? All right, just as we did last time, we will take a look at the chapter 3.3, classification, sometimes called classification and division. So the purpose of classification in writing. The purpose of classification is to break down broad subjects into smaller, more manageable, more specific parts. We classify things in our daily lives all the time, often without even thinking about it. For example, cars can be classified by type, convertible, sedan, station wagon, or SUV, or by the fuel that they use, diesel, petrol, electric, or hybrid. Smaller categories, and the way in which these categories are created, help us make sense of the world. Keep both of these elements in mind when writing a classification essay. It is best to choose topics that you know well when writing classification essays. The more you know about a topic, the more you can break it into smaller, more interesting parts. Adding interest and insight will enhance your classification essay. All right, next page. Classification essay opens with a paragraph that introduces the broader topic. The thesis should then explain how the topic is divided into subgroups and why. Take the following introductory paragraph, for example. When people think of New York, they often only think of New York City. But New York is actually a diverse state with a full range of activities to do, sights to see, and cultures to explore. In order to better understand the diversity of New York State, it is helpful to break it into these 5 separate regions: Long Island, New York City, Western New York, Central New York, and Northern New York. The underlying thesis explains not only the category and subcategory, but also the rationale for breaking the topic into these categories. Through the classification essay, the writer hopes to show the readers a different way of considering the state of New York. Each body paragraph of a classification essay is dedicated to fully illustrating each of the subcategories. In the previous example, then, each region of New York would have its own paragraph. To avoid settling for an overly simplistic classification, make sure you break down any given topic in at least 3 different ways, and that fits the 5-paragraph minimum, right? 3 different subcategories, an intro and a conclusion, and 3 paragraphs. That's how we hit that 5-paragraph minimum, which is really what you want to shoot for. I say minimum, but it's good to stay at 5. Okay. This will help you think outside the box and perhaps even learn something entirely new about a subject. The conclusion should bring all the categories and subcategories back together again. I would just caution again, don't repeat yourself if you can avoid it. I don't like the repetition of some of the conclusion strategies that they suggest here, so please keep that in mind. If you want to cater your essay to your specific teacher, try not to repeat yourself. Try to come up with some open-ended stuff that we haven't thought of. Okay, writing a classification essay. Start with an engaging opening that will adequately introduce the general topic that you will be dividing into smaller subcategories. Your thesis should come at the end of your introduction, naturally, hook, line, and sinker. It should include the topic, your subtopics, and the reason you are choosing to break down the topic in the way that you are. Identifying the reason or rationale for breaking down a topic in a particular way builds the argument that will become your thesis. Use the following classification equation to craft your thesis statement. This is pretty cool. They give you an equation for this one. Topic plus subtopics plus rationale for the subtopics equals thesis. The organizing strategy of the classification essay is dictated by the initial topic and the subsequent subtopics. Each body paragraph is dedicated to fully illustrating each of the subtopics. In a way, coming up with a strong topic pays double rewards in a classification essay. Not only do you have a good topic, but you also have a solid organizational structure to use as your outline while drafting. Be sure you use a strong, next page, strong details and explanations for each subcategory paragraph that help explain and support your thesis. Also, be sure to give examples to illustrate your points and write a good conclusion. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and practice a classification and division thesis and topic sentences. Now remember the formula that they gave us. Let's take a look here, make sure that we get it down. Topic plus subtopics plus rationale for the topics equals thesis. Okay, so if we go back and we share the Word document. Give me 1 second. All right. Okay. All right. So classification and division thesis statement, or just classification thesis statement. The topic is different types of bears. Now it was topic plus subtopics plus rationale for the subtopics equals thesis. Now I don't know if it has to be in that order. So what is the rationale? We talk about different types of bears. So the United States has several different types of bears. And you know, really just we could talk about bears in the North American continent in general so that we didn't have to stick to just the United States. But what is the issue with bears? Well, the issue with bears is that a lot of times people don't know that different bears react differently and they pose different levels of danger. Some bears are way more dangerous than other bears, and other bears really aren't that dangerous at all. So maybe we could do, all right, view 2 be tendency of people to misunderstand bears and the dangers they pose. It is important to break, why don't we say, North American bears. It is important to break them down into the following categories. All right. And then we have, we'll say, black bear, grizzly bear, and Kodiak bear. Black bears, grizzly bears, and Kodiak bears. We'll put the S on there. All right. So there we go. We've got it. We have our topic, our subtopic, and our rationale. And now we have a thesis, classification, division. Now, are there more types of bears? Yeah, I think we could say, like, I think there may be a difference between the grizzly bear and the brown bear. I'm not a bear expert. I think also that the polar bear probably lives in parts of Alaska and stuff like that, and so should be included if we were going with the United States. If we're doing North America in general, then it's obviously it's part of that. But so I think that does it. I think that pretty much covers all of the bases. We followed the formula, not necessarily in the order that they listed. It doesn't really matter. So now what we need is a topic sentence about black bears. We could say perhaps the most mild-mannered, and I'm just going to make this stuff up, mild-mannered and widely distributed bear is the black bear, which can be found throughout much of the United States and Canada. All right, now that body paragraph would be about the black bear. You could tell people about what it eats, where it lives, what to do if you see one. All of that stuff you could fit into that category, right? But that topic sentence lays out the bear, the black bear. I keep thinking of Dwight from The Office. You know, he says bears, beats, Battlestar Galactica. If you don't like The Office, then you don't know what I just said, and I apologize for that. If you do like The Office, you're welcome. Okay, so grizzly bears. All right. One of the, whoop, I just deleted the topic sentence. Silly me. And again, I'm just making this up. I'm not bothering to. Normally, we would actually do our homework and figure out all about these bears. But for the sake of just demonstrating the strategy, I think we can make it up. Okay. Perhaps best known North American bear is the terrifying grizzly which once occupied many of the old growth forests in the United States. Let's see, perhaps the best known North American bear is a terrifying grizzly, a massive animal which once occupied many of the old growth forests in the United States. Here, I think we have to fix the punctuation. Okay. Perhaps the best known North American bear is the terrifying grizzly, a massive animal which once occupied many of the old growth forests of the United States. All right. Okay. I hate semicolons. Sometimes I get confused myself with them. Let's try to avoid it. The best thing to do is to avoid it. All right. Perhaps the best known North American bear is the terrifying grizzly. Which one? We can just go back to what we had before. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Perhaps the best known North American bear is a terrifying grizzly, which once occupied many of the growth forests in the United States. All right, I tried to jazz it up too much. Got a semicolon involved, and I didn't like it. Okay, so let's do the final topic sentence: Kodiak bears. While many people are afraid of grizzly bears, the Kodiak bear is the true killing machine and is the most dangerous of the North American bears. All right. Well, many people are afraid of grizzly bears. The Kodiak bear is the true killing machine and is the most dangerous of the North American bears. Okay, that will do. These are thesis and topic sentences which have to do with bears, classification and division. Not my finest work, but we'll take it. There's always a way to improve. Remember, if you spend a lot of time, even a disproportionate amount of time, on the thesis and topic sentences, it's probably good, because the more developed they are, the better your essay would be, because they constitute the skeletal structure of your essay. And so it's really important to have a strong thesis and topic sentences. So these will do, and they fit the strategy. So then what we do is we go through and we go hook, line, and sinker for the introduction. Then we follow up with these topic sentences, supporting details for the body paragraphs. We include all kinds of stats and facts and fun things we find about bears. And if you're going to do a super research-based, and I'm not saying you can't, but if you're going to do a super research-based classification and division essay, make sure that you use credible sources. Be careful what you find on the internet, because there's a lot of garbage and there's a lot of stuff that looks good and isn't good. So be careful about that. But so this will do. I think we can see how to use the strategy here. The conclusion, obviously, we could talk about. Maybe the conclusion would be a good place to talk about other types of bears all over the world, and like how the bear family looks in the big picture. And that way you could avoid repeating yourself, and you could kind of leave your reader thinking like, wow, bears really are everywhere. Okay, so I've talked enough. Thank you all for listening and for putting up with the sort of hiccups in the presentation. And I hope you all have a fantastic week. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions.